To understand communion, you've got to understand Passover. The setting of Passover was Egypt. This doesn't make sense outside of the context of the oppression of God's people for generations. If you are oppressed, this is good news for you. If you are afflicted, if you are sick, if you're stuck in your sin, this is good news for you. If you are depressed, this is good news for you. The night before he set them free, he institutes a meal called Passover. It is a memorial. He says, do this in remembrance. Do not forget what God has done for you. Jewish people for hundreds of years on Passover have been lifting up a cup. This is the cup. Remember, and this is what they would say. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who gives us the fruit of the vine, who gives us the bread that comes from the earth. When Jesus is instituting communion, he's not starting something new, he's fulfilling something old. And if anyone's ever done a Passover Seder, a child in the room would then ask the father, what makes tonight different than every other night? And the father would say, tonight is the last night of your bondage. Tonight is the last day you're ever gonna be a slave. Tonight is the last time Pharaoh's ever gonna have dominion over you. Tonight is the last time the chains will ever define you. Because as of tomorrow, you are going to be free. We were slaves, we were oppressed. And when they would get to this point in the Passover Seder, they would lift up and they would say, this is the bread of affliction, the Israelite affliction. And yet Jesus comes up and he does not say, this is the bread of Israel's affliction. He says, this is my body. This is the bread of my affliction. In the same way that bread is crushed to feed your body, I am gonna be crushed to feed your soul. Jesus, what's the difference between tonight and every other Passover? And he would say, just like Moses told the Israelites, tonight is the last night of your bondage. I'm telling you something. Tomorrow, they're gonna crucify me. And when I say it is finished, and the worst bondage ever is gonna be ended. Tomorrow, my stripes are gonna make people free. I will be wounded for their transgressions. I will be pierced for their iniquities. The chastisement for your peace is gonna be upon me. This is my body. The night before Israel's liberation, they had a meal. The night before our liberation, our first disciples had a meal. Jesus gave us this meal. And he was not just talking about past deliverance. He was showing us the mission that he was doing at that moment. And he says, do this in remembrance of me.